coming to you from the steps of the Taj Mahal of college football. That is Bryant-Denny Stadium, just down from the Walk of Champions. Had a little spat on Twitter here a few days back between David Cornwell and Blake Barnett, two former Alabama players. And normally, you wouldn't put too much into that. Pretty comical stuff sometimes. Stuff you wouldn't pay much attention to, right? But it seems that David Cornwell said that Blake Barnett sort of blackmailed Alabama with some kind of allegations. Does that mean that possibly there's some kind of NCAA violation that Blake Barnett knows about? Let's talk about it. How's it going out there today, boys and girls in sporting land? This is JPC. I am the OCF, that is the outlaw of college football. And this is, and as always, will be the home of the Common Joe and Common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Now, as you can see behind me, like I said before, this is the Taj Mahal of college football. And I come to you live from here because I wanted to talk about a little subject that popped up on the internet today, or actually 2 days ago. David Cornwell and Blake Barnett have been feuding on Twitter as of late. And normally you wouldn't put much into things like that, but David Cornwell said something very interesting. Sometimes you get a little something out of these little spats that you don't expect. He said that Blake Barnett was blackmailing Alabama with some sort of allegations. Like I said, normally I wouldn't take any credence to this kind of talk on the internet, but these were two guys that were in the program for a little bit, and just didn't sound very good. I have very good optics between these two and the stuff they were saying to each other on Twitter. It's pretty deep stuff. You know, Blake Barnett even accused David Cornwell of ransacking his room and stealing stuff from him. So the question is, if I was Alabama, I'd be getting to the bottom of this. They may not have to worry about too much, because right now I think the NCAA sees them as some kind of cash cow. But I think they need to sit down with David Cornwell and Blake Barnett and figure out what's going on, because allegations, while just a word unto itself, is could imply anything from something very small to something very major. And from the way these two guys were talking and going at it, it had the feel of something major. And that's why I cringed when Nick Saban made his little speech right after Jimbo Fisher went on his little spastic rant about how he and his staff didn't need the NIL deals to help them recruit. And then Saban come back with a response that wasn't, in my estimation, very good, because he said something that it sort of feels like, you know, he thinks everybody's naive in saying that at Alabama we've never paid our players. And we all know that that's not true, Nick. All these colleges and universities out here pay their players, whether it be a stipend or whether it be some, you know, handshake money. We all know that shit goes on. So let's stop being so naive about it, especially since now that you got the NIL deals in place to where you actually can pay players a lot easier, Nick. So I think Nick Saban University really needs to set these two down and get them on the phone and find out what's going on before you have a situation where maybe the NCAA wants to show their teeth again and maybe show that they actually still matter and they're relevant. It's because if you remember, back in the early 2000s, Alabama was made an example out of, in my opinion. Not very consistent example, because the NCAA is never consistent in what they do, but this could be something for them to show their teeth once again. Now, Nick Saban has a lot of power in college football right now, so that may not be the case. But if it is not the case, even as an Alabama fan, that don't sound very cool to me. It sounds to me like maybe the NCAA in Alabama and Blake Barnett's family had some kind of quid pro quo. If I'm an outsider looking in, if I'm not an Alabama fan, I'm being unbiased about it. So like I said, I need to get with these two, sit down with them, talk with them, find out what these so-called allegations were, and smooth it over. Go ahead and get it out of the way, because if you try to cover it up, NCAA may once again try to make Alabama an example. And that's all I got to say about that. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams.